Ngā mani, are you well? I add my acknowledgement of the beautiful Kaurna country we meet on today and pay my respect to the elders and Aboriginal people past and present. The Honourable Mr Premier and each one of you, distinguished guests, each one who have travelled near and far to meet here today, I say, Mani ngā pudni, it's good you came. In recent years, my family has discovered that my great-grandmother, who passed away when my grandfather was only 2 years old, was an Aboriginal woman, a Yorga from the area of Katanning in south-western Australia. And so with my new and growing knowledge of Noongar Wankanini, or language, and please be patient with my pronunciation, I say Kaya, Wanju Wanju, Nanyang Kul, Fiona Partridge. Hello and welcome, my name is Fiona. I'm the State Executive Officer of the South Australian Christian Education National Schools and a teacher at Torrens Valley Christian School. And it's my great privilege today to share a little bit about the Reconciliation Kokoda Trek experience on behalf of my amazing colleagues, the teachers. What a great bunch they are. It was here at the Reconciliation Breakfast 2 years ago I first read the flyer placed at our tables advertising Reconciliation SA's Kokoda Trek proposal aimed at government, schools and non-government schools working together. The brochure outlined the call for schools to form a team consisting of an Aboriginal senior student, a non-Aboriginal senior student, a teacher and a student mentor, and walk the Kokoda Trek together with the set objectives of reconciliation, leadership, adventure and commemoration to be achieved throughout the experience. For our school and myself personally, the concept of reconciliation comes naturally from my faith base and understanding of our place in the world, believing we are called to the work of reconciliation. The adventurer in me said, we've got to do this, and I'll be the teacher. I was sitting with Vonda last, a parent at our school, and immediately thought of her son, Jeremy, thinking this would be the perfect trip for him. So Jeremy and eventually Vonda agreed, and we selected Thomas as our non-Aboriginal student. And great to have you lads here today, and the Torrens Valley Christian School represented here today at the table. We were allocated Justin Wilkie, a Ngarrindjeri man employed by the Association of Independent Schools, as our student mentor, and soon began our journey, regularly walking many kilometres together, training in the Adelaide Hills, and planning the long list of equipment between us. Our first meeting with the other school teams soon saw strong bonds made between our school groups. From an additional educational point of view, as teachers, we believed the Kokoda would be an amazing classroom for our students to understand just a little bit about the horrors of war, to explore and hear stories of young men, both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal, who served our country and helped to write the history of the Kokoda Trek, now a well-known chapter of our Australian story. We were united in our desire to help our students develop their personal resilience and an appreciation of the past to shape a better future for all Australians. In the lead up to the trek, the students were each asked to select a Kokoda veteran from any of the Aboriginal or non-Aboriginal men who served and research their individual stories. The sharing of the students' learning at the sites of historical significance along the track became a powerful and moving part of our Kokoda experience. Hearing recounts of real-life stories concerning men not much older than the students themselves facing the horrors of war. These stories will be etched in our memories forever. We learned much about those before us who experienced firsthand the 4 values used to describe the Kokoda experience: mateship, sacrifice, endurance, and courage. We gained a tiny insight into what those words mean for ourselves on the trek. Only a couple of weeks before leaving on the trek, we learned about a Kokoda veteran living in a retirement village near our school campus at Hope Valley, SA's only survivor of the B Company. We were able to make contact and arrange a visit with the gentleman, Les Arnold, now 92 years of age, telling him of our planned Reconciliation SA Trek and asking him to share with us a little of his personal story of Kokoda before we set off on our journey. Les, a wonderfully, remarkably fit and active man, allowed us to sit with him and hear his experience, a story he's actually rarely shared over the years. Born in Stawell, country Victoria, Les was just 16 when he and his best mate, Rex Curran, signed up without their parents' permission and to serve the Australian as militia, the Australian Army. Les said they enlisted for what they thought would be a bit of an adventure. Les, who turned 17 years of age while on the ship sailing to New Guinea, explained he did not expect to face any real action. However, shortly after arriving at Port Moresby, Les and the other soldiers with limited training found themselves ordered to get to the north of the country through the jungle to defend the village of Kokoda as quick as possible. They had to defend the very real threat of invasion to the Allied bases at Port Moresby, ultimately protecting Australia. So Les and his mate Rex were two of the 39th Battalion soldiers who, now known for their courage and determination, scrambled the 96 plus kilometres of the muddy, hilly, sweltering jungle track to defend Kokoda. And there's a photo of Les when he was just 17 and him today. Les shared how tragically his mate Rex just disappeared one night in the jungle, never to be seen again by the troops. We were able to honour Rex by visiting the Bamada Cemetery, finding his name on the long list of soldiers with unknown graves. After our return to Australia, we took Les some of the photographs and thanked him for his service. As this audience would know, the Aboriginal soldiers who enlisted and fought at Kokoda, as well as fighting battles in many other regions, were not acknowledged as Australian citizens at that time in our country's history, yet they served with honour. My own great-grandfather fought for Australia, being injured, getting his eye shot out, and after the war returned to his side of the family in South Australia and received a soldier settlement piece of land. I've realised that through looking at historical records, his Aboriginal brother-in-laws in Western Australia who served in the war did not receive such soldier settlements. These stories of past inequity are only just being started to be told in wider Australian society. On behalf of the teachers, I want to express how much we value the educational outcomes and lifelong lessons learned for our students on the trek, and dare say each one of us. The rationale for the Australian curriculum learning area of history states, and I quote, "History is a disciplined process of inquiry into the past that develops students' curiosity and imagination. Awareness of history is an essential characteristic of any society, and historical knowledge is fundamental to understanding ourselves and others. History promotes the understanding of societies, events, movements and developments that have shaped humanity from earliest times. It helps students appreciate how the world is and how its people have changed, as well as the significant continuities that exist to the present day. As outlined in the Australian curriculum, it's hoped that the process of historical inquiry, those skills develop transferable skills for the students. And so it's our hope that as educators, the historical knowledge and the inquiry skills the students learned and applied through the experience of the Kokoda Trek are extended to our local and national stories. Stories, for example, of the leathers patent sealed by the King, and other stories that we need to hear. We must also know and celebrate the hopeful stories, the establishment of the South Australian Aboriginal Lands Trust in 1966, the events such as those acknowledged on the dates that punctuate Reconciliation Week. These dates commemorate two significant milestones in the reconciliation journey: the successful 1967 referendum and the High Court Mabo decision. As the students apply their historical inquiry skills learned at Kokoda to other stories, we hope the need for appropriate restorative and reconciliatory actions will grow through better understanding. If you don't know these stories, go home and look them up. As a final thought, I think there's an element of the Kokoda experience that stands as a good analogy for us to explore this morning. There were days on the track where we all had needs. and each needed the support of one another. The usual relationships between us, those of institutional authority and holders of knowledge, didn't matter on the trek. Of teacher, of student, tertiary student, mentor, doctor, it didn't matter. All individuals at some time on the track found themselves in need, with hurts from a fall or lacking resources, low on something that someone else could give them, address or attend, whether it be a food snack to keep your energy up, an electrolyte tablet, extra drinking water, medical supplies. Sometimes it was emotional toughness that needed to be shared, or a word of encouragement, a prayer, a song, a spiritual boost. As a group, we could only travel the journey and progress along the track when the greatest hurts and needs of every individual were met. Within our group, we had to share, support, encourage, and give time and understanding to each other in order to progress to the finishing arch of Kokoda as a team. Whether it was stopping to dress a hot spot on the foot before it turned into a crippling blister or dressing wounds from a slip, we had to help each other to bring healing. And so it is with our society today. We need to help each other, take time to address society's greatest needs so we can all move on together in reconciliation and build a better future for all. No matter who you are, look around, see what you can do, examine what you can share, perhaps be the voice for someone else, and help the journey of reconciliation be a destination we all enjoy. May we continue to learn, share, and grow together. And as it's difficult to find an Aboriginal language word that directly means thank you, I say blessings to you, and Mani Padni, go well. Thank you.